I have had this on my mind all day. I wasn't really like in it at work today. I can't exactly explain what brought it up for me or what exactly made me think of this situation. But I feel like if anything was going to be said, now would kind of be the time to say it. So yeah, I put a trigger warning, and I'm going to be doxing somebody that deserves it. I'm going to be doxing somebody that deserves to be exposed, and I'm going to be potentially putting myself in an awkward position as I only have the evidence that I have. And if between today when I post it and a month from now or a week from now or a year from now I get more evidence, I will follow up with that, and that is my promise. And not for nothing, I don't think anyone is deserving of the proof. I think that it just further substantiates my claims. So to put it very bluntly and to put it very plainly, I was brutally raped by Evan Robert Kelly. That's just the facts, you know. I wrote this whole thing on my laptop, just bullet points and things that I didn't want to forget and things that I wanted to make sure that I tapped on and I mentioned. And right now I just feel like shaky and anxious, you know, because at the end of the day, he does have more money than me. He is more affluent than me. And, you know, at the end of the day, if he really wanted to like shit on me or shut this shit down, all he would have to do would be snap his fingers and ask mommy and daddy for some money. I can't do that. That's fine. I don't fucking care. I'm just saying. So I can't get into my old MySpace. Otherwise, I would provide tons of MySpace evidence. But I'm going to start from the very beginning. I might get a little sidetracked as this topic is not only hard for me to talk about, but difficult for me to explain without details, without painting a full picture, and without giving the entirety of the details that is kind of deserving in this kind of situation. So with that being said, again, trigger fucking warning, I am sorry. This man needs to be fucking accountable for what he fucking did, since I have to fucking live with the fucking literal guilt and fucking trauma every day. I'm 27 years old. I don't deserve to feel like this anymore. So anyway, I was 13 and I was on MySpace. I would go on AIM all the time. I wish I still had screenshots for proof of AIM, but if anyone has a Wayback Machine for AIM, let me see it. So anyway, we met. I think it would be semantics and semantics only to say who messaged who first. I'll try to take credit and say like it was me for semantics. Fuck it. I don't care. I don't know. I don't know who was the first person to message the other person. I was on MySpace all the time. I would spend hours and hours and hours on MySpace because it was just fun. I can viscerally remember that I was in the 8th grade when I met him. So if that's not 13, whatever fucking age you are when you're in the 8th grade, that's when I met him. And, you know, we would message and eventually we exchanged numbers and eventually we would talk on the phone. I remember calling him from my house phone and having like normal conversations and getting to know him, and eventually they turned a little sexual, and eventually he would, you know, try to like get me to take nude pictures, and eventually he would ask me to have phone sex with him, and eventually he would ask for things that I was not personally comfortable with, which I, in all fairness, did anyway. I did. I am a people pleaser, so I didn't know how to say no. So this all started at a young age, and I take responsibility, accountability, and credit for being the person that didn't want to say no. He was intimidating, and that's just it. I'm not blaming him for that. I'm just saying my perception of him was intimidating. I'm pretty sure I was not in high school yet when I met him in person for the first time. I barely remember it. What I remember was coercing my mother into taking me to the Palisades Mall so that I could meet him, but I didn't tell her why I wanted to go. And we maybe met up for like 5 minutes max. And I remember him saying like he wanted to like fuck me in the bathroom, and I was just like, I don't really want to do that. And like he got like mad at me and didn't talk to me for like a week, which, red flags, you know? So yeah, we met at the Palisades Mall. And then I remember the year that The Dark Knight Rises came out, the one with the Joker, I got it for Christmas. I also got a pair of Victoria's Secret fold-over leggings. And we met up again because his cousin drove him to see me in my house in Oakland. And again, he was oddly, overtly sexual. And you will see that in the screenshots that I will be posting from Facebook. I literally specifically said to him, and I don't even remember saying this, but I specifically said to him, I've never seen you unhorny. Moving right along. There's a huge gap in time of things that I don't remember saying or doing. And you can attribute that to my traumatic brain injury or TBI. I don't know. Just blocking shit out for the sake of blocking shit out. But yeah. So what I do remember is, you know, us kind of dating for a little while. And I was 17, so it was 10 years ago. And, oh, I feel like I'm gonna cry. And, you know, we made plans to do some shit, which is the only proof I have, really. But we went to a concert. We went to a Tool concert. And, you know, that was pretty fun. And then there was one night we went to a frat party. The level of drunk that I was at, and just all in general, I don't know. The other thing that makes me sick to my stomach is I was still in literally like middle school, and he came over once when my mom wasn't home, and he said, if you love me, you'll let me fuck your ass. I was bent over my fucking childhood toy chest, and it hurt so bad, and something fucking ripped, because I remember like it was yesterday, going to Borders bookstore with my mother and literally shitting blood and asking the woman next to me for a fucking pad because of how bad I was bleeding. So let's just get that the fuck out of the way. You know, it never really was like, I don't know. It never was. I allowed it longer than I should have. I allowed him in my life much longer than I ever should have. And I take full responsibility for that and accountability. And you can say that I'm equally in the wrong for letting him be in my life for as long as he was. But that's all I can say about that. That's all I've got. So when we were at the frat party, which I have screenshots, I have proof that he picked me up, it, from what I remember, was a pretty okay night. I remember playing like Civil War beer pong, and you were allowed to like tackle people to get the ball. Insert a picture of the black eye from that night. I still don't know if it was a black eye from playing beer pong or the violent fucking rape, because that's really what it was. I was far too drunk to give consent, and I don't think that just because you're dating somebody that you're entitled to fuck them. I remember going into a basement that night. Like bits and pieces of it. I like vaguely remember being in a basement of the frat house, and I can almost remember the color of the house, I think. But we went downstairs and he like let his friend like take pictures, and I'm pretty sure he let one of his friends also have sex with me. And I was literally in and out of consciousness because I barely remember that. And I let it go because I didn't want to be alone. I literally let it go. I just did. I just said, fuck it. And that's the blunt truth. I didn't want to be alone. A couple months later, we were planning a date, and he picked me up from school. I believe I was a junior in high school. I might have been a senior. It was 2011. Again, I still have pictures from that, so I was a minor. And we went to Chipotle, and this was my first time ever going to Chipotle. And we got burritos, and then we went to his house, which I don't think it would be fair for me to post his address, but I will give the generic town. It was in Rivervale, New Jersey. Oh my god. This is really difficult to talk about. Based on my memory that it was 4 or 5 o'clock in the evening, give or take, and his parents were not home yet. And I remember in the middle of eating the burrito, I started to feel like sick, but like also drunk, which doesn't make any sense because why would I be drinking on a school night? Why would I be drinking after school with somebody who's not 21? Not that I wasn't a derelict, not that I wasn't a piece of shit, not that I didn't ever do that in my life, but I know for a fact that I was not drinking that day. I know for a fact that we were drinking fountain soda with no liquor in it. I know for a fact that I did not personally ingest any alcohol willingly or consciously. I am 100% alluding to the fact that he drugged me. Whether it was Xanax, a roofie, I don't give a fuck what it was. I was fucking blackout drunk and woke up in my bed at my house. So if you can explain that one to me without using drugs or alcohol that I know I did not take, please give me your opinions below. I'm starting to get so fucking mad. But anyway, what I do remember is him guiding me upstairs, partially like, you know, putting his arm around me to kind of like walk me up the stairs. So it goes from eating the burrito, feeling drunk, remembering sort of walking upstairs, and then remembering having a hand on my mouth and me screaming at the top of my lungs to the point where I could literally feel fucking blood in my throat because of how goddamn irritated it was from how hard I was trying to get him to stop. If you want to say that I'm regretting having sex with him, I'm not. Not that. That's rape. Straight up. And he got away with it. And he's still getting away with it. And it gets fucking worse. So, what wound up happening was I got pregnant. I don't know if it's because he doesn't use a condom. I don't know if it's because a condom broke. I don't know. I really don't. I don't remember. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. I have no fucking clue. But I remember texting him and telling him, and his reaction was to be mad. He was mad at me. It was my fault. Because I'm a piece of shit, right? 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 I'm a slut. I'm a slut and I was probably cheating on you. I was probably whoring myself out. No. Because despite all of the fucked up things that anyone has done to me, there are two things that remain true. I have never, ever, ever fibbed or miscalculated or exaggerated any type of trauma. And I have never, ever cheated on someone despite all the shit that they've done to me. I understand as a human being and as an individual and as somebody of sound mind how you can correlate how a crazy person who's okay with raping their girlfriend twice, someone they've known a long fucking time, even at that time, a long time, how somebody that's crazy enough to do that would be like, okay, clearly you're cheating on me. Clearly. Let's just say a day or two later passed and I took a pregnancy test literally in front of him in my house while my parents were at work or doing whatever. And he literally beat the fuck out of me. Like, literally. Like, I didn't want to go to school the next day. Like, I remember lying to my mom and saying that I fucking, like, fell skiing or some shit like that. I don't ski. And it was my fault. So I guess when he, like, gathered his thoughts, he was like, well, clearly you're not going to have my kid. I was like, okay, cool. So clearly what had to be done was I had to get an abortion. Today at around 12, I reached out to the clinic and I asked them if they had my medical records and if between today and whenever, if I ever get a response from them, I will do my best to post proof because I was a minor at the time and he signed as a parent or a legal guardian. This fucking sucks, man. It's weird. But the day that I got the abortion, I remember it in bits and pieces. I remember getting there. I remember seeing other women there with their partners. And I remember leaning on him for support and him just continuously shoving me off. I remember paying for it. So if you're watching this, I would like my money back. I remember talking to a therapist before going in, which I believe is just common. I believe that that is normal in a women's clinic. And I remember when they did the ultrasound, and I remember the nurse saying, I forgot to turn down the volume, and I heard the heartbeat, which still pretty much kills me to this day. And I will probably never be able to unhear, and I will probably never truly forgive myself for. However, the only thing that helps me cope with that memory is a clip from Orange is the New Black, which I will do my best to insert here.
Boring. It's actually a pretty good read. They have this chapter in it. Where have all the criminals gone?
Over there in that field?
You know, in the 1990s, crime fell spectacularly, and this book attributes that to the passing of Roe v. Wade.
Darkness of 73.
The exact opposite, actually. I mean, the abortions that occurred after Roe v. Wade, these were children that weren't wanted. Children who, if their mothers had been forced to have them, would have grown up poor and neglected and abused. The three most important ingredients when one is making a felon. But they were never born. So 20 years later, when they would have been of prime crime age, they weren't there. And the crime rate dropped dramatically.
What's your point?
Well, my point is that you were a meth head, white trash piece of shit, and your children, had they been born, would have been meth head, white trash pieces of shit. So by terminating those pregnancies, you spared society the scourge of your offspring. When you think about it, it's a blessing.
Never thought about it that way.
Well, maybe you should. Maybe you should stop punishing yourself. I mean, what does a good mother do? A good mother does what's best for her children. And maybe what was best for your children was wiping them out before they had to lead miserable fucking lives.
He left me at the abortion clinic. So he might not know this. And I I pray to fucking God that I get evidence of this when and if the clinic messages me back. I thought I was home as I was waking up from anesthesia, and I was calling out for my sister. I guess I tried to stand up. I fainted. I lost a lot of blood, and I hit my head. So I remember the nurse like waking me up and being like, hey girl, like, you know, you have an IV on you, like, are you okay? And like something about wanting to bring me to the hospital. My heart is literally racing right now talking about this because I'm so fucking aggravated. But I was in a lot of fucking pain, and I walked out there looking for him, and he wasn't there. So where I was living was Pompton Lakes at that time, and where I was I don't want to give too much information, but I was in Bergen County by the mall. But basically, I had to figure out a way to get home. And I walked to the bus station, and literally as I'm walking out of the clinic, like the bus is pulling up, and I walked in there and I was like, I have no money. I have no way of getting home. Please, please, please help me. Anything. And somebody happened to hear me. She happened to pay for my ticket, and I sat there, and I did not realize how much I was bleeding. I didn't realize a lot of things. And when I finally got dropped off, it was right by the Wendy's at the corner of wherever the fuck that is in Pompton Lakes. And I walked maybe like a New York block and a half to my house. And when I tell you, every step was fucking excruciating. It wasn't mental pain necessarily. It wasn't physical pain necessarily. It was the combination of the two, because I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm fucking not really comprehending what's going on, and all I want to do is lay down. I walked up the stairs because we were living in a 2-family house, and I got all the way upstairs. I felt so lightheaded, so I went and I laid down on my couch, and by the time that I woke up, my mom was there. And literally, like, it's just the weirdest thing. Like, I fully remember my mom like cleaning up my blood off of the couch. After that, we still talked. Like, we still fucking talked. Like, what? Why? Which is shameful and embarrassing. And, you know, it makes me sick. But there were maybe 3 times after that we hung out. And the last time we hung out, we got into his car and we went to go see Coheed and Cambria, which I have pictures of. I was so angry, and hopefully understandably so, but I was so fucking mad about everything that had happened that as we're driving, I started an argument. We got into an accident, and again, I have pictures here. I held up his bumper and I put it on my ass because I was just like, well, fuck you. This car that you love so much, like, it's fucking ruined. And, you know, we didn't talk much after that. And I'm not upset about that. You know, I, throughout the years, have definitely messaged him, called him, texted him, Facebooked, fucking Instagrammed, fucking everything you can fucking think of. And the part of this that I am the most ashamed of is after all of that was said and done, I was 18. I had just gotten into a fight with my mom. And I believe it was a Friday night, if I'm not mistaken. I believe my parents were on vacation. I'm actually 100% positive they were on vacation. And I started an argument with my mom over text. And I said some very hurtful, very wrong, very fucked up things. And I knew what I was doing. I was doing drugs that night, and I was drinking extremely heavily, and I was laying upstairs in my friend's bed in East Rutherford, and I planned out my suicide. So I made a fight with my mom, hoping that I would never talk to her again, so that she wouldn't feel, that's literally my logic. I was like, so that she won't feel sad when she like finds out I'm dead. And I went home knowing that they were not there. The next morning, I drew a bathtub, I said goodbye to people, and I slit my wrist in the bathtub. And while butt-ass naked, because one person I texted knew what I was saying, called the police, and they took me out of there. And I went to the hospital, and guess who showed up? He had some really hurtful things to say, and it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't understand a lot of the logic behind 100% of what I just talked about. I really don't. I couldn't do that to someone. I couldn't drug somebody. I would never spike someone's drink with alcohol. And it's my fault. I put up with it for so long, and one of the biggest reasons why I never wanted to fucking say anything was because, like, I know it's my fault. I know it's my fault for, talking to him. I know it's my fault for keeping in my life as long as I did, and it's just, I was so embarrassed. And I never wanted anyone to know the whole story, because at the end of the day, that wouldn't have happened if I had just walked away. If I just, like, was fine with being alone. I thought I loved him. And what a pathetic excuse that is. I think that for a long time I thought that if somebody was being violent to me, or was just someone I was interested in, that they were like kind of just allowed to do whatever they wanted to. Like, I had no right to say no. For like years. I mean, look at my last relationship. I allowed myself to be the victim for so fucking long. I let it happen. I could have walked away from Evan. I could have walked away from Eric. But I didn't. I'm not strong. I'm fucking weak. Because I didn't want to be alone. And I don't know. I was always afraid of, if I walk away, then they're gonna hurt me worse. How unbelievable does all of this sound, How fucking crazy does all of this sound? How many people do you know that have the fucking history and the track record and the fucking past that I do? It's easy to fucking get wrapped up in, like, of course I've been suicidal for years, on and off. Because sitting down and talking about this, and really opening myself up to this, I'm like, that doesn't really sound that believable. My dad being an alcoholic molesting piece of shit, then Evan, then the situation with Luke, who I have a fucking restraining order against still. Even like the quote unquote like normal relationship that I was in right after Luke still has some drama and some spice in it. It's like, I guess to synopsize, I don't really expect anyone to believe me. I don't really expect anyone to understand. I just hope that someone hears this and knows that they are not alone. And if, God the fuck forbid, this man has done anything like this to you, anything close to this, that you know you have fucking support and proof with me, and I believe you. Even if it's not with him, if it's anyone, I believe you. And I fucking am so sorry. And I know how fucking hard it is. And I hope that, Evan, if you're watching, I hope you show this to your future wife so she knows the kind of person you really are. I hope that she knows that she's getting with a rapist. I hope that she knows that she's getting with an abusive piece of shit. I hope that she knows. I hope that she knows that trying to survive in this world is hard enough. But what he did made life 1,000 times harder for so long. And I barely feel okay talking about it now. But someone has to fucking say it. He deserves to fucking not have a platform. He deserves to fucking get fucking shit taken from him. So much of my life has been taken from me because of him. A fucking child would have been brought into this world because of him. And he's just getting away with it. And it just sucks. Look, I'm appreciative if anyone makes it through this whole video. I hope that if you're also a survivor, that if you need anybody, you would consider coming to me. And if not, that's totally fine. If you are a victim of sexual assault or rape, that you share your story because you deserve to be heard and they deserve to go down for what they fucking did. And you will always be believed. I will always believe you. And at the end of the day, that's really all I want. Whoever winds up seeing this understands that I'm not doing this for clout, for attention, or anything like that. I am saying this and I'm sharing my story because it's been 10 years. This man deserves to fucking pay for the fucking consequences. And if he's really going to be marrying somebody, they deserve to know what a fucking gross piece of shit that they're marrying. I hope this stays attached to his name forever. And I hope that he fucking goes to jail for being a rapist fucking piece of shit. So, I know this isn't my usual content. This isn't normally what I like to talk about. This isn't like Happy Mickey Saturday. This has just been weighing on me for, a long time, and I feel a little bit better getting it out. So I don't expect anybody to believe me, but thank you for listening. I'm gonna go.